Good evening, everybody. I'm Fictional Crystals, and Line 4 has finally aired, so at last I can review it. People have been calling Line 4 alternate endings title misleading, but unlike other occasions, this title wasn't misleading at all. This is a Lion episode, of course it would have something to do with Rose. The title said alternate ending, and it was an alternate ending to her message. This episode didn't go the way some people hoped it would, but it was a good episode anyway, and it left us some things to think about. It starts off with Steven rewatching Rose's tape. He was trying to decode a message that wasn't actually there, because he knows Rose is sneaky. It was just like what the Steven Universe fandom does with the show, because we know Rebecca Sugar is sneaky too. Steven's part about Asia could have kind of been right. When Lion knows that Steven's ready to find out more about Rose, he's there to help. He throws up a giant pink key, and Steven has to find out what it's for. First, he tries to use it for the chest in Lion's mane. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The key was too big. This was a big tease to everyone who wanted the chest to be opened this episode. Although the chest wasn't opened, this was the first time anyone's ever bothered to pay attention to it on the show. Which means it's not just a decoration, it is going to be important. Not specifically in this episode, but later on it will be. He tries the key in various other places, none of which work. We have not seen Rose's armory or fountain in ages. Steven then tries the key on himself, which of course doesn't work. Sometimes it's a bit odd how he can go from really serious to really goofy. So Lion has to end up showing Steven what it's for. He takes Steven back to the desert where Steven found him in. It's also the same desert Rose was in with her 7 lions. Lion could have just warped straight to the destination, but he didn't. He made Steven wait. I really liked the scene where Steven was riding Lion through the desert. From the very first episode of the series, Steven's felt like he has to live up to Rose's legacy. Everyone keeps telling him how great Rose was. Then Steven found out all the bad stuff she did, and it kind of threw him off. He's not sure if Rose wanted him to be like her, or if she didn't want him to be like her, or if he wants to be like her, or if he doesn't want to be like her. You could see glimpses of him being like this through seasons 1, 2, and 3, but season 4 has slapped us with it. They arrive at a place we've never seen on the show before. Steven didn't pay too much notice to it in the episode, but take a look at that. There's 2 pink things sticking out of the ground. It's Pink Diamond's old ship. A lot of homeworld ships are based off of body parts. So this ship is either based off a hand/arm, those being 2 fingers sticking out of the ground, or it's a ship based off of legs. Those would be 2 knees sticking out of the ground instead then. Steven puts the key into the door and sees that it's just Rose's old crumbling away trash dump. It's reminiscent of Greg's storage unit. A huge portion of the structure is missing. There's gem writing and pillars in front of it, similar to the Sky Arenas. I feel like it says something important. Hopefully Steven's still learning how to read gem, so maybe he can come back to it. This episode certainly gave us a lot of things to speculate on. Steven was annoyed he came all that way just to find garbage. There were some important things there. I got a bunch of theory ideas that I'll do once the Steven bomb is over. I already mentioned Pink Diamond's ship, but I'm sure if he looked more he'd find some other interesting things hidden. Lion found another one of these lizard gem creatures. He threw one up earlier in the episode, and was eating one in the episode Lion 2 the movie. There's got to be a reason they included this creature, along with some of the stuff in the trash dump. The creature doesn't poof like a normal gem would if it was hurt like that, but I'll leave those for a theory video. What Steven does notice in Rose's trash dump is another tape, except this one says for Nora. Lion takes Steven on one more trip to find out who this Nora is, but he ends up just taking Steven to Greg. No, Greg is not Nora, but he is able to show Steven who Nora is. Nora is Steven. They just had another name picked out for Steven if he turned out to be a girl. It's not some big conspiracy, guys. Steven does not have a sister. Nora is just Steven's name if he was a girl. Rose gave up her gem and became Steven. She couldn't have had any more kids. She only had 1 gem to give, so she could only have had 1 child. And it would be really shocking and out of character for Greg to have a child with someone else. But hey, at least we have a name for gender-bent Steven now. They briefly reference the fact that Greg changed his last name. The tape of Steven was Nora is slightly different from the tape Steven first saw. It was a bit less well put together, but you got to see more of Rose's personality. I want to know how Rose/Lion knew which tape to put in Lion's mane and which tape to put in the trash dump. Like, if they knew Steven's gender beforehand, why make 2 tapes? Or did Rose decide Steven's gender because she turned into him? Or did they make 2 tapes just cause? Okay, I'm gonna
try not to think about it.
In the end, Steven gets more reassurance that Rose didn't want him to suffer with her mistakes. She just wanted him to be a kid, her kid. She didn't make Steven just so she could escape dealing with her problems. The shot's about as close as we'll get to a family portrait of them on the show. I love Steven Universe backgrounds, and this ending shot was beautiful. Overall, I thought this episode was good. It doesn't really fit in with the arc the other episodes in the Steven Bomb have. By itself, it's fine though. But anyway, there's still 4 more episodes in the Steven Bomb which I gotta review. So thanks for watching, cause the video's over, isn't it?